What's up, guys? Welcome back to the shop. So this is gradient Damascus 64 layers, and we're gonna throw it in the forge. We're gonna stretch it out, and we're gonna clean it up and put a piece of core steel in there. Why? Because we need this guy to be at least a 1/4 inch thick, if not a little bit more, probably 3/8 thick, so that we can do our texturing on it. In this case, we're gonna do a raindrop because I want to see what it looks like with that gradient pattern. As you can hear, the forge is on in the background, and that's because I'm working on my cleaver. So I figured I'd toss this guy in there and flatten it out and make our bar stock so we can stack up our steel and take advantage of the forge being on. Alright guys, so I got it fairly cleaned up. I don't gotta really get rid of everything. It's still gonna go back in the forge and it's gonna get oxidized again. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint it all probably in blue or green, I don't know. Got a green marker down there. Might use it might be blue actually. I don't know. I'm just gonna color in with a marker, and then we're gonna start drilling all our holes. That way we can get our raindrop pattern, and we'll slide it back into the forge. I have this little spot right here. I think I pressed and it was cold on one side, so it kind of skewed it a little bit. And it gave me this little bit of a delam, so I'm not sure what's going to go on there. Hopefully I can clear that up. But the rest of it looks pretty good on the edge, so hopefully I can clean that up whenever I do my final press. And this guy is right around 6 inches long, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a nice size knife once everything's said and done. It's 3/8 thick right now, and I'm gonna drill about 1/8 on each side. So we're gonna get a very nice pronounced pattern. Alright, so we are out of the template and now it's looking really nice. You can see the patterning in there. It is going to change a bit when I grind it, but I'm not going to take too much off. I dropped the knife after I heat treated it, so I destroyed the tip on it. It happens, I guess. I'm not going to worry too much about it. On this side, you can see the core steel starting to pop out on it. But on this side, you really can't see the core steel yet. So I got a lot more grinding over here. I got to make sure I expose the steel as even as possible on both sides. But overall, the biggest thing is that big old nasty warp. You can tell right there. So I'm going to fix that with a carbide peen the best I can. And I'm going to go on ahead and grind the rest of it all the way. Make it nice and straight. But yeah, that pattern on there is looking great. I'm very excited for it. Alright guys, so we've ran into a bit of a problem. As you can see, we have a mean delamination here. I've drawn roughly where I would cut it down to if I need to cut it down to. It'll probably give me the best bang for my buck. I might be able to, do a straight line to cut it better. I don't know. But yeah, we have a pretty mean delamination right here. And fortunately, it's kind of far from the tip, so to get rid of it, it'd be losing a lot of material. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue grinding on it, and we're going to see when it disappears, and then I'll put in some ferric chloride to see where the pattern is. If it's completely gone, I might have to cut it down. If it's not, and we still got some pattern underneath here, then we could be good to go. I'm not really sure what else I could do with the knife. Unless no, that's pretty much it. I was thinking I could maybe angle it to get rid of this, but have like a sharp, skinny knife with a point, but nah, that wouldn't work. I think we just have a shorter little, slightly around a 6-inch knife. I'm not sure. The other side's perfectly fine. It's nice and clean. But this side, we got this. Yep. It happens. Alright guys, so our knife has been hand sanded, it's ready for our handling. And for our handle, we're going to be using this piece of spalted maple with this piece of curly maple. Yep, I believe it's curly maple. And it's stabilized and dyed in black, and we're going to be pairing them together like so, basically. And we're going to have a nice little handle knife for this guy. So let's go on ahead and get everything fitted up together so we can bed the tang. Alright guys, so it's time to go on ahead and bed our tang. You go on ahead and separate our pieces. And I'm going to put some wax on this guy. I'm using Renaissance wax. You can use any wax. You can even use Vaseline. I've seen people use Vaseline as well. It all works. Same stuff. It just creates a barrier to keep the parts from sticking. But I've never used Vaseline. I've heard people say you can use it. I personally have never used it myself. I kind of just bought some wax and I've been using that ever since. Works very well. I'm sure there's cheaper options than this. This guy's probably like $20 a little can. And I'm sure there's cheaper options than this, but it's what I got. It's what I use till I run out. So with the tang prepped, I have my parts marked. This is the top side, so we're gonna go ahead and slide this guy in here. And we're gonna go ahead and mix up our epoxy. I'm gonna be using 5-minute epoxy, and we're gonna make sure we get enough going. Previously, before, I've not had enough and it's been a pain, especially with 5-minute epoxy. So we're gonna use a generous amount. Make sure we have enough in here, and that should be plenty. Probably more than plenty. I tend to put a little bit of black coloring in there once I mix it up and all the epoxy turns jet black. I know we're good and we got some good mixing, good coverage in there. The thing, the 5-minute epoxy, you gotta be quick with it. So that's what I like about the black pigment I put in there. It lets me know when everything's thoroughly mixed, but it also helps hide any little imperfections that I might have on my fit up. Though I do sand off camera, I sand the pieces together. In this case, I sand this guy, and then I meet them up to make sure that they are fit up as best I can. No light coming through. And we're gonna put a generous amount on the top. Make sure we got full coverage. And we're going ahead and pour the rest in here. Make sure to fill the whole cavity. That way we got a perfect fit up whenever the epoxy dries. And with this leftover stuff, I'm gonna fill in a little bit of the void in here. I always like to make a relief cut in the back of the front part of the tang. And the reason why I do that relief cut is that it makes it a lot easier to fit up. So you're gonna go ahead and fill that up. That way it creates a little lock in there. Make sure the epoxy not only holds the two pieces of wood together, but also creates like a little cylinder in there to hold everything together. Some people use a dowel. I've never really used the dowel method. Nothing wrong with it. I just haven't used it. Oh, just enough. Perfect. And now I'm just going to try to line it up as best I can with the knife. And define my center and just hold it there. And once this starts solidifying in about 2 minutes or so, I can let go. The epoxy that I have in here, the leftover, is gonna be my little clock. It's gonna tell me when this guy is set up, and I can go on ahead and let go. All right, now it's solid enough to let go of, but it's not enough to pull it out, so we're gonna give it a few minutes. I could tell by this guy I can't pull it out. I'm putting a decent bit of force, but it's not coming off. There we go. So you can tell by the epoxy, it's scraping off a little bit, but it's not pulling off completely. And those are the little strands I'm talking about. You want to make sure that you can't get any of those strands coming out, because they will make your day bad. All right, so enough time has passed by. We're going ahead and pop this guy out. And we're home free. Have a little bit that gushed out from the top, but not a big deal. But as you can see, in and out, nice and clean. No real wiggle movement. So we're good to go. Now I can clean up all the sides and get everything nice and kind of squarish. And then from there, I can take my measurements straight off the knife to make sure everything's nice and straight and we don't have any guessing, so we can get our handle as close to nice and square with the actual knife. And when we glue up, it doesn't move around, which is a big thing. Lots of times I've had it to where this guy will move just slightly over and it'll just ruin everything. All right, guys, so it's time for my glue up. I'm gonna walk you through my step-by-step process. First thing I do is I always like to do a little dab of this black pigment turns my epoxy black. My fingers are always dirty, so switch out on gloves. All right, so I got some new gloves on. Now, before I do any of my actual mixing, I'm gonna be using 5-minute epoxy for this one because I'm in a bit of a hurry. So first thing I did was I got my notches in here. These notches help this guy not come out of here. Once the epoxy's in, these little notches, I do little backwards V's so that kind of holds on. I don't know if it makes any difference, but I like to do those. And I like to line up how my handle's gonna go. So it goes in like that. Set this guy right here and this guy right here. Since we bedded the tang, it does not need a lot of 1, 2, 3. It doesn't need a lot of epoxy. It's already full in there. And before I do that, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of acetone in here just to quickly just rinse out whatever's in here. Let it dry. Make sure I don't have anything in here, any wax, any gunk or anything like that. Make sure I fit it out the right way. Alrighty. So we're gonna go ahead and mix our hardener. 1, 2, 3. And it doesn't need a lot of epoxy. So we're gonna go ahead and mix this. And once I have it mixed, it's gonna look nice and jet black. And all I'm gonna do is give a good coat to my tang. It's very important to work fast because I'm working with the 5-minute epoxy. Give a nice good coat to my tang. Make sure I have everything nice and full. Going ahead and slide this guy in here. Make sure as much of that epoxy gets in there as possible. I don't want to put too much epoxy in here because the hole is already pretty exact. And the more epoxy you put in there, the more it's gonna fight you because it's gonna create an air gap in there. See, as soon as I let go, it comes back up. That's because of that air gap. So we want to work that air out as fast as possible. Get this excess epoxy off. Because once it dries, we're pretty screwed. All right, now that this guy's in here nice and good, we're gonna go with our Q-tips. Give it a quick clean on the edges, getting excess off. And we're actually gonna peel some of this paper back so that we can clean. And I have Johnson & Johnson paste wax is what I use. I know you can't really find it anymore. I don't know what a good alternative is, but this stuff melts the epoxy away really well. I learned this trick watching Neil Kamamura's videos, and I just happened to find some at a secondhand store, and I yoinked it up real quick once I saw it. Then it cost me like $2, and I've been using it for the past like 2 years now, and it works great. And that's pretty much it. Once the epoxy solidifies in a few minutes, this guy is gonna be super solid in there. And now I'm just gonna hold it down like that. And I'm gonna wait for it to dry. Once it starts drying, a little bit might come up. And as it starts coming up, I'll just wipe it off again. Alright guys, so here is a final look at the knife. Unfortunately it's pretty late, so I can't really get a good look outside. But you can appreciate how pretty this guy is. This is definitely looking really, really nice. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It's a very nice, comfortable, small knife. I'm not happy that it ended up being this small because of the delaminations I had. And I still had one more right there, you can see it. And another one right there, but I figured if I'm gonna make the knife any smaller, I might as well just not finish it, and I wanted to finish it. So here's the deal. I don't want to keep this knife because I already have too many. So I'm gonna give it away to one of my Patreon members. So I'm gonna do a raffle for my Patreon members, and if you want to be part of that raffle, you can check out my Patreon in the description down below. I will tell you, I do not have much on that Patreon, but I do plan on doing more. Work has been slow lately, so I will definitely be working a little bit more on there because I have some more free time, and honestly, because I miss my income. So I'll be giving this knife away there because of these blemishes. I really don't feel comfortable selling it, though I could probably put it for sale, and I'm pretty sure somebody would pick it up, but instead, I'm going to be going that route. So if you want to enter to win, if you are a tier 1, you get 1 entry. Tier 2 gets 2 entries. Tier 3 gets 3 entries. And pretty much just going to put it on a random wheel thing and let Destiny decide. So if you're interested in that, it's a good way to help support the channel. And if you want to support the channel in a different way, you can definitely check out my other knives on my website. I have a bunch of cool knives on there, and there will be a few more to come in the next coming weeks that I think are going to be really nice. But as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.